Hello, everybody. My name is Gwen Saw. I'm a director of graduate career development at Georgia Tech Career Center. I'm really excited to be part of International Career Collective partner. So we have an amazing session with Jordan today. So let me formally introduce Jordan Carroll by reading his bio, and then he will run his show, okay? So Jordan Carroll, aka the remote job coach, creates content, courses, and coaching programs to help high performers learn a process to land legitimate remote jobs and gain more freedom and flexibility in their lives. He's worked remotely since 2013 in different capacities for a Fortune 50 company, multiple startups, and his own businesses. He's the author of the best-selling book, Remote for Life, the founder of the Remote Job Club, and in-demand international keynote speaker. Jordan has lived and worked in 15 countries and 5 continents and commits time and 10% of his company's profits to organizations helping refugees find remote work. So this is impressive Jordan's bio. And before he runs his show, I just want you to know, I'll be looking at your chat. So whenever you have questions, shoot the question. If I can answer for you, I will do. But if I believe it's kind of beneficial, everybody to listen from Jordan, I'll keep it and forward to Jordan so he can answer a question at the end of his presentation. Okay? Please mute yourself so that we can avoid any additional unexpected noise. Okay, Jordan, run your show.
All right, let's get it going, folks. If you can come on video, let me see that beautiful face on video, because we're going to do some interactive stuff today. This is going to be a fun session, and you're going to get a lot of value. The things that I hope to deliver to you today are going to be real life things that you can do with ChatGPT and AI, whether or not you've ever used it before. What we're going to be focusing on is how to master your job search with ChatGPT. So let's start off with the goal. So what's the goal? I want to first change your mindset about AI and what is possible with AI. And then I want to give you 3 ways that you can immediately save dozens of hours on your job search. Who wants to save time on your job search? Just put save time in the chat. Who wants to save some time on your job search? I imagine probably everybody, right? So let's do that. So who am I? We've already done a little bit of an introduction. So my name is Jordan Carroll. I help high performers land remote jobs. I live in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. I have a book that I wrote. What's most important, I use ChatGPT for everything. One is helping my clients with their resumes, LinkedIn, interviews, anything job search efficiency related. I help people out with that. I also use it for food recipes. Who would have known? And I also use it to even prep difficult conversations with my girlfriend, who can relate. And that's my dog, Chandra. She is my ChatGPT co-pilot. As you can see, she is really, really good on the computer. So if you have a dog that you can get on your computer to help you, that is probably going to be the best way to do it. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. What are the stakes? What are the things that might happen with AI? 1, traditional job roles are on their way to be completely useless. This is my prediction, as well as many other people's. And if you don't integrate AI into your skill set, it's not just missing an opportunity, it is actually a fast track to obsolescence, meaning that you will not be valuable anymore in the job market. So the way that I see this happening is that eventually people with high tenure, with a lot of experience that do not know how to use AI will actually be less valuable than people that don't have a lot of experience that have a lot of AI literacy. So this is where, if you are a student or if you're someone who's entering the job market at a younger age, less experience level, I mean, it can work for anyone, right? But this is where it can be your huge competitive advantage, is to get really good at using AI. Because the most desirable skill in the job marketplace will be AI competency and prompt engineering. Most job descriptions will have these as requirements. So it's important that you understand 2 things. 2 things. 1, you must be able to use AI in your day-to-day technical work, whatever it is that your skill is, whatever it is the type of work you do. 2, you must be able to use this in your job search to make yourself more efficient, okay? Now, I want to, for a moment, just talk about what's going to happen at the end. I'm going to send you all the prompts that we talk about in this presentation for free. You just can get those sent directly to your email, as well as many other things. And I'm going to mute. If we could just make sure that we go on mute, because it will be distracting if you're talking on the phone while I'm talking. Okay, let's jump in. In the chat, how often do you use ChatGPT? Never? Daily? Weekly? Monthly? Okay, looks like we've got a whole range of different types. And if I sound a little bit sick, I woke up this morning sick, but I'm still here to deliver for all of you in this. I've got my tea, some ginger garlic tea. So a good thing you can't smell the garlic through this, but I will do my best here. Okay, so we've got daily, we got weekly, we got monthly, we got people all over the board, which is helpful to know. If you have used it, so if you answered daily, monthly, weekly, what do you use it for? What's the thing that you find yourself using ChatGPT for the most? Cover letters, okay. Emails, coding, academic, everything. Love that answer. Improve writing. Yeah, look at all these amazing use cases, right? Studying. Oh, somehow I got muted. Okay, disclaimer from this is that if you get crap from ChatGPT, that is what you gave it. So there's going to be some different parts of today that I'm going to talk about what to give ChatGPT to get the best results. Whether you never use it, whether you use it daily, whether you use it weekly, whether you use it monthly, you will get something from this, I promise you. Okay, let's talk about the principles of how to use ChatGPT. Number one, give specific context. This is how I like to think about ChatGPT. Give ChatGPT a role, give it some kind of function that clearly states what the skill of ChatGPT is. Give it a task, give it something that's clearly outlined as far as what you want it to do, and then give it a format. Tell it what the output is of what you want. All these things should be as specific as possible. We've got someone off mute again. Okay, here we go. Create depth as you go. One of the things that I find is extremely important is don't give ChatGPT too much at once. Ask it for best practices, ask it for frameworks first, and then do what's called prompt chaining and go one at a time. That can be very helpful. Reuse the good stuff. Keep a best prompts document and a one-page career story. We're going to go over these. I'm going to give you templates that you can use for these as well. And then get ChatGPT to fill in the gaps. So if you have no idea what you're doing, ask ChatGPT how to do it. That is the best way to do it. In addition, this mindset for you is be bad before you're good. You have to be okay with being bad at first. And if you want to get better, you already have use cases, things that you can use every single day where you ask yourself a question, what am I not using ChatGPT for that I can? And honestly, it's almost everything. It's all in the prompt. There is a ChatGPT prompt that I'm also going to give you called the God prompt, that if you want ChatGPT to write the prompt for you, this is a great way to do it. And then edit, edit, edit. ChatGPT is best giving you an initial something, giving you 0 to 1. So having nothing on a page to having something on a page. But your job as the taskmaster, as the person controlling ChatGPT, is to edit, right? So that is a very important part of it. And I want to also encourage you, have fun. The possibilities of this are endless. So have a good time with this and understand that, oh man, like you can really turn up the dial and use this for so many different types of things. I want to ask, which principles that I just spoke about are you most excited to implement after this call? Which principle you're most excited? Having fun, editing, prompting, being bad before good, getting ChatGPT to fill in the gaps, recycling, depth, give specific context, prompts. Everybody's saying prompts. Of course, that is always how it goes. I want to just say it is much more than just the prompts, but the prompts are obviously very, very important. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, I feel like I've given you this initial layer of the mindset that we want to operate when. I want to give you 3 ways that you can immediately save dozens of hours on your job search. Way number 1 is to complete the ChatGPT prep checklist. So here's the checklist. 1 is that you're going to develop your best prompts document. You are more than welcome to steal mine and then add to it. 2, you're going to create a context and assets document for yourself. And then 3, you're going to use God prompt whenever you are unsure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what these documents look like. And then at the end, we'll go over those. And we'll also have some time to do some live demos, which is one of my favorite things to do, is actually show you this stuff. Okay, so first things first, this is an example of a best prompts document. So this is the one that I'm going to give you at the end. And I like to keep a table of contents here at the top because I can go down and see, you know, all the different things, right? And if you look down in this prompt document, you can see there are general prompts, there are advice and planning for transitioning jobs, there's planning and prioritizing, there's company research, communication, task descriptions, there's all sorts of different things in here. What I want you to understand is that whenever you put something in ChatGPT that you feel like is a good prompt that you will likely use again, you put this in your own prompt document. Whenever you have a good prompt that gives you an output that will be something you want to use again in the future, you save it in your prompt document. Put in the chat, save it, if you're going to start saving one of these. Or if you have one, let us know. Do you have a prompt document that you use? Does anybody have one already? This is one of the quickest ways to save time, because every time that I open ChatGPT now, I can just go to this document and I can go search for whatever it is that I need, right? So that's number one. Now, we also talked about this job seekers personal context and assets document. So this is going to give us, one, a personal snapshot. So it's almost like a resume, but it's actually written in longer form, right? We're going to have this personal snapshot, and then we're going to have the career overview one pager. This one is going to have all your major roles and responsibilities. It's going to have your key achievements or projects. It's going to have your special skills or tools mastered. In this document, the prompts document, I actually have some examples of this. If you go down to Sarah Johnson, for instance, this is like a one pager. So what you do is you write it almost as this third person recap of your entire career. And then as you go down, you can see there's another one down here for Micah J. So you're just going to do a version of this that ends up becoming the one page for you. This is going to save you a ton of time to just have this at all moments, right? It's also akin to having a resume. You're going to want to have a resume that's updated, but you want to have multiple different formats of how this is written out. It can be very helpful in some circumstances to have that. And then we also talked about God prompt. So I want to show you God prompt. This is what God prompt actually looks like. God prompt looks like, your goal is to help me build the best detailed prompt for my needs. You will get this at the end, by the way, so you don't have to take screenshots or anything. This prompt will be used by you, ChatGPT. Please follow this process. Your first response will be to ask me what the prompt should be about. I will provide my answer, but we will need to improve it through continual iterations by going through the next steps. Based on my input, you'll generate 3 sections: revised prompt, suggestions, questions. We will continue this process with me providing additional information to you and updating the prompt in the revised section until it's complete. Do you understand? If this feels really complicated and like too much, Josh, we can hear you, man. All right, I turned you off. Just everyone be careful when you come on because we can hear you. Okay, so if this feels complicated, if this feels like something that's like, oh, there's a lot I don't really understand, let's walk through exactly how to use this. Who is transitioning careers, and what are you transitioning to and from? That is my question to you. Who is transitioning careers, and what is your current role, and then what are you trying to get into? And I just want to show you the power of this prompt and kind of how it can be used. And I'm going to do this live, so if I mess it up, then this is on me. Grants administrator to AI researcher. Okay, so let me just show you the capacity of this, and I'll do a couple of examples. So this is the God prompt. Can everybody see the ChatGPT being open? And I'm actually going to go to 3.5. So this will be available for free. So now this is, I want you to become a prompt creator. It's the same thing in that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the first one that I got, which is the grants administrator to AI researcher. I'm going to press enter with this prompt. And what it's going to give to me is, I understand, please tell me what the initial prompt should be about. This is where we give the context. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste what you said, but I'm going to doctor it up a little bit. I'm going to say, I'm a grants administrator. You know, I'm currently transitioning to become an AI researcher, and I'd like to make a career transition. Can you help me come up with a plan to transition in 3 months? I'll say a comprehensive. Okay, see how simple that was? And now what it's going to give me is it's going to give me a revised prompt. So this is the prompt that I could now use. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to look into the suggestions and the questions. So for you, Dilip, we're going to look at these questions. Do you have any prior experience or knowledge in AI research? Are there any particular areas within AI that interest you? Are there any constraints or limitations that should be considered in the plan? Do you have access to any specific resources or support? So if you could just answer one of these questions, Dilip, maybe even just start with the first one. Or number one, yes. So tell me a little bit more about the prior experience and knowledge you have. Doesn't have, you can even come off mute if you want, if you're comfortable with it. You worked at Odney as a fellow. Okay. So I'm just going to say, yes, I have AI experience. So I don't know what this is. It's what? Say that again. I'm not able to hear you if you're talking. I heard you for a moment, but I can't hear you now. So you can get as specific as you want, but my recommendation is go in and keep answering at the Director of National Intelligence. Okay. So I'll just give it that one, but you can go in and answer like every single question, right? And what you'll see is that this ends up changing the prompt. Develop a comprehensive 3-month plan for transitioning from a grants administrator to an AI researcher, taking into account your prior AI experience, including your fellowship, right? So this is something where you can use this to continue to have these questions that guide what it is that ultimately becomes the prompt. And you can do one of two things. You can say, okay, I'm ready, run this prompt. And now, okay, let me do it the other way. The other way is you take this prompt here and you start a new one. Say, I'm gonna start a new chat. There's a lot of testing and error, right, with this. So now I'm gonna give it this. And now it's gonna give me this plan for a 3-month plan. And now I might say, okay, this is great. Today is November 6th. I need the plan to be able to be done by December, January, February 6th. What are the tasks to do weekly, or let's say daily, weekly, and monthly to be on track? See how I'm just working with this as a prompt chain as well? I'm giving it one thing at a time, which really allows it to chain these responses and get more context and feedback, and then iterate and iterate and iterate. Okay. So now we have a detailed plan broken down into daily, weekly, and monthly tasks to help you transition. It says dedicate at least 2 hours weekday, focused on learning in your skill development, spend 15 to 30 minutes daily with professionals in the AI field, right? And then there's some weekly tasks, right? There's some monthly tasks. It's just breaking it down nicely. And then you can even say, okay, give me the exact dates of how I do this. Like you can just keep iterating it until it's in the format that you want. There was a question, Fonta, in case we're not so sure what's the specific career we want to change, what should be the best prompt? Well, exactly this, Fonta. We had the God prompt, right? That was the thing we started with. So you literally just used this again for exactly what you just asked. The whole point of this is you're asking me what should be the best prompt. Don't ask me, ask ChatGPT. That's the meta version of all this, is I'm going to put this in here, and then I'm going to say, In the case, I'm not so sure what is my specific career. I want to change to what should be the best prompt. And then now the revised prompt here is what career should I consider transitioning to based on my skills, interests, and current experience, right? And then it's going to ask you these questions. Briefly describe your current skills and experience. What are your primary interests and passions? Are there specific preferences or constraints? This is where your resume or that career document, remember this? We talked about this assets document. You're going to already have all this stuff. So you just snag this and then you put that in here. And now it's going to keep iterating this prompt, and then you can have a plan for how to actually figure out what career you want to go into. Does that make sense, Fonhip? Following me on that? I'm going to assume yes. Okay, great. Awesome. So we had a couple other ones. I'm just going to do one more. We had medical device marketing to data analytics. So we can look at that one. I'm going to have my God prompt again. I'm going to start with that. And then I'm going to say, currently, I'm a medical device marketing professional and switching to data analytics. I want to know how to make the transition. So I notice I just wrote that in a different way, so it may give me a slightly different result, but in the document that I'm going to share with you at the end, all this stuff is within, like all this stuff you can reuse just from the area that I have in here about transition, which is somewhere in planning and prioritizing. Yeah, somewhere over here, transitioning jobs. So there's a lot of different resources here that you can use, and I just recommend like get reps for yourself. Like get a lot of different ways that you can use ChatGPT that broadens your horizons to understand how it is that you can use it. And just answer these questions. And then once you get to a place where this prompt at the top feels good, then you put this in a separate chat and start again. Okay. Would it help in the plan generation if we share the job scripts? Yeah, you great eye for that, Aditya. I'm gonna go into another part about that in a moment. And then, hi, thanks for the info. It's great. Just wish you know how we'd be sharing these prompts so that we can apply this detail. How you would be sharing these prompts so we can apply this. Yeah, I'm going to share at the end. Like you're going to get a link. So don't worry about that. Okay. So the job descriptions, there is other things that we can obviously use ChatGPT for. And one of the things that comes up the most for clients that I've worked with is how do I accelerate my resume customization? Because I have these things in my resume, I have this job description, and I'm trying to figure out how it is that I can put these two together so that I feel like I'm the right candidate. Now, I want to give you a disclaimer that my recommendation is to always network to find a job and use that as your primary way of finding a position. But having a customized resume to send to people in your network, specific for job descriptions, is a very good way to stand out. And you're going to want to accelerate that resume customization as much as possible and do that for every single role. So what you do first is you create your shell resume. This is the resume that everything starts with, right? It's got all of your experience. Think of it like a discography, right? Think of it like it's every single song that you've ever made if you were an artist. And then what we're going to need is a customized resume, and think of that as like the greatest hits. Like that's one album, and it's specifically meant for the person that wants to listen to just the best stuff, the most relevant stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to find job descriptions, and we're going to use this prompt called Resume Bot 2.0. Is anybody ready for Resume Bot 2.0? Let me know in the chat. Are you ready for Resume Bot 2.0? Okay. Anna is very excited for Resume Bot. Okay. So I created Resume Bot. It is the child of mine. I don't have any children of my own in human form, but I do have a dog, as I mentioned earlier, which is a hairy child. And then I have this prompt, which I'm going to show you, called Resume Bot. Okay. So Resume Bot is here. And I already did this. I already ran it just so that we had the example. And here's what it says. You are Resume Bot 2.0. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. Your Resume Bot 2.0, a professional resume analyzer and matcher extraordinaire. Your specialty is matching resumes with job descriptions. using best practices and helping job seekers get the best and most out of their resumes. I'm going to give you a resume first, describing name and role, and then a job description for a role by the company. I'd like you to come up with a detailed analysis of how well does the resume match how well does the resume match, it's supposed to say job description. Think of it like a ranking and where she stands currently. Use a 1 out of 100 scale and explain the rating. Where are the opportunities to increase the match of the resume using keywords and phrases? And then what best practices in general do they need to consider that they missed? And you'll only do one step at a time after I've told you that we're ready to proceed. Are you ready for the resume first? So notice this last sentence. What do you think that this last sentence does? You'll only do each step one at a time after I've told you we're ready to proceed. What do you think is the value of that sentence? Feel free to type in the chat, or if you feel so brave to raise your hand and come off mute, you can. Why is this valuable to say this? Allows you to iterate, proceed, prevents generalizations, to train ChatGPT, better to edit, detailed response, exactly. So we're guiding ChatGPT during this process, and sometimes what will happen is, again, if you give it a lot of information at once, it can get kind of lost, right? If I were to give this framework here and also the job description and also the resume in like one prompt, that would be really overwhelming for the model. So what we're trying to do is make sure that after each one, it is tracking backwards in what we're doing, and that creates what's called the prompt chain. So baby steps is the way to go. Cover all the details, create depth. You guys are on it. Very impressed with this crowd here. We are picking this up fast, and I think there's just a lot of people who probably already use this. So that's great to see. Okay, absolutely, I'm ready. Please provide the resume. So then we have an example of a resume. Now this is a client of mine who is a project manager, and the resume is in there. And what it gave us was actually a general feedback for the resume initially. And then it asked at the end, shall we proceed to the next step and analyze the resume against the specific job description, which is what we really want. Now we did the job description for this quality integration role, which is a program manager role. And if I go down here, what I'm going to see is it's going to give me an initial match ranking. Here's how well the resume matches the job description. Now, there are tools online that also do this, other AI tools that give you rankings. So it's up to you whether you want to use some of those tools, whether you want to try this. Like, there's so many different things out there. What my recommendation is just get really good at using something like this, and then all those other ones will be other reference points for you. So this one becomes like, again, there's kind of a grain of salt, meaning ChatGPT is not does not know everything, right? And it's not the perfect thing, but it's really meant to give you feedback that you can assess and edit yourself and understand, okay, this is actually what I resonate with. This is what I like, and now I can use it. So what it gives us is experience. And no, this is this does not need GPT-4. I did this one on GPT-4 previously, but you can do this on 3.5. It'll give you something similar. So it gives the explanation of the rating, experience and role alignment. It also says skills match, which gives different skills, methodology alignment, communication, team leadership, and also a detailed breakdown of positive alignment, areas of misalignment, and opportunity, which becomes really helpful. And then with this analysis, they can optimize and give you better stuff. Here's where it really gets cool. Are you with me? You ready for the next part? Let me know if you're ready. Okay, yeah, Ree's ready. Okay, Anna's ready. Okay, everybody's ready. Okay, so now it says opportunities to increase match. This is the thing that takes people the most amount of time. And look at this. It's literally going to give me the old bullet point, and it's going to give me a new bullet point. This is going to be optimized for the keywords. It's going to be optimized for the different things that are in the job description. It's going to be super helpful in enhancing our score so that the score is higher. And then you can even recheck that later and re-enter it after you've changed out these bullet points. So there's still some manual work for you, but the ability for this to do this all in one and just give you like the original plus the enhanced and like break this down into different sections, like this is bar none, like this is crazy. This is going to save you tons of time. And then it's going to give you a final note talking about, basically what it was trying to do. And if you want to continue, And then there's also some general best practices. So you don't necessarily need a career coach. This is your career coach. If you become really helpful, if you become really useful at ChatGPT, like you can make all this happen. Yes, you'll get a recording of the session. Is it worth it to buy a GPT-4? I mean, I personally do, because there are some beta features. Like if you look in here, there's like these beta features on the this part. Like there's plugins, advanced data analysis, there's all these different ones here. So this is where we'll have where people who are on 4, I think, have a distinct advantage in doing that. And then there will be eventually stuff that continues to roll out only to people that are on GPT-4. I would say with the stuff that you're doing for your job search, and if you haven't really tested out ChatGPT at all, just start with 3.5. Get to a place where you feel like you're really using this every single day. And then once you're using it every day, because you'll start to be like, oh man, I can use this for everything, like the way that I'm doing at this point, it's gonna be a no-brainer for you to get the paid one, because it ends up becoming like a lot better. But just start with this and it'll still give you one. And then I even asked now help with the feedback of our cover letter. And so now it's giving me feedback on the actual cover letter that we had for this particular one, and also some sample extracts, and it revised these things for me. So again, there is so much you can do with this, but I find that people love how much faster you can accelerate some of these things that naturally take you so long when you're doing this for every single company, right? Now I'm going to show you something crazy. If you want to see something crazy, put crazy in the chat. My dog raised her hand. Okay.
Hi, Jordan.
Yep.
This is actually amazing, but could you please briefly show or summarize again how the resume matching process going?
Yeah. So here's what you need to know is, for the resume analysis, you're going to start with a prompt called Resume Bot 2.0. That is going to be in the document that I'm going to give everybody at the end. I didn't want to give it right now because then everybody get lost in the document and start, doing their own stuff. So I want you to pay attention first, but basically all you do, you put this prompt in to start, which is in that document. After that, you add your resume. So you just copy and paste your resume. You can also use that story. Well, actually, no, this is specifically for a resume. So I would use your resume and you paste your resume in there, and then you paste the job description. Because this is set up in a way that's saying, I'm going to give you the resume first, then I'm going to give you a job description, and I'm going to give you these things in order. Now it's going to be ready to take these things one at a time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, we got a lot of crazies in the chat, so let's move on to this last one here, which is to prep for your interviews. Now, what we can do to prep for interviews is, again, we go back to the job descriptions. I know there was someone in the chat who said job descriptions earlier, which are my favorite things to use with ChatGPT because you can get so much good information from them. We're going to use those to get questions that you might be asked in an interview. And then we're also going to use your one-page career story or your resume to formulate answers with frameworks. You can even record and transcribe your answers and get feedback, which is an advanced thing that I'm not going to necessarily show you how to do at the moment, but we're going to talk about how you can do that if you wanted to. Now, the first part, using job descriptions and an interviewer profile. So how do we do that? So what we can do is at the top here, and again, this prompt is in the interview section of the document that I'm going to give you at the end. It's in the interview section down here. So you can find this right here. Boom. What you put in here is you are the role title of X person, role team that you're hiring for, and you're hiring for this. I'm going to give you a job description, also the LinkedIn profile of the person who's interviewing. First, I'll give you the job description. Then in a second step, I'll paste details about the interviewer. Then you'll analyze and create a comprehensive list of questions to prepare for. After that, I'll give you my resume. From there, you'll help me answer those questions in the STAR format, one by one, following best practices and recommendations to give the best answers possible. We'll go one step at a time and you'll confirm before moving forward. Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. So now I gave a job description. Now this job description that I gave was this one here. It's a random one from 2 weeks ago, project manager. I'm just using this because there was a hiring team member attached to it. So sometimes on LinkedIn, what will happen is you'll have the actual person who's hiring here. That might also be the person who is interviewing. It may not always be that, but I reckon that there's going to be a close tie-in to that. So we're going to have an interesting ability to use Stephanie's profile in this particular situation. So I provided the job description, which is here. So I just went into this job description and I just copied all this. I made sure to also copy the title and the name of the company. And then what it gave me was, based on the job description, here are the questions I would prepare for the interview. And it gives me a whole list of 17 different questions. Now, personally, I'm just going to say this like very bluntly. I think it's useful to have questions to study, but I think it's even more useful to memorize your stories, the stories of your career. And that's why we write out the stories of your career in this document. Why is that important? Why do you think it would be most important to know your stories more than to practice individual questions? Who has an idea? Why would that be important? Stories over questions. Stories are more important than questions. Why? Themes are transferable. Now, yeah, it makes it more flexible, right? It shows how you stand out, all these things. Yeah. In the flexibility, you're going to be able to use a story. There may be one story that you have that you can answer for a bunch of different questions, right? And that's what Marjan just said. So like and I'm seeing there's a bunch of different answers that got that right. So thank you so much for your insights. But here's the kicker. I want to give you one more thing to add on here. Or actually, there's going to be two more things. One is, it asked me, once you're ready with the LinkedIn profile of the person interviewing, I can help refine or add to this list. Who knows how to get a LinkedIn profile in PDF? What we do is we go to More, Save to PDF. Isn't that a neat little trick? Yeah, exactly. Keisha's got it. More, Save to PDF. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the entire profile of the person that's going to interview me, and I'm going to give that to ChatGPT. You think that's going to help? And now it says, considering her background, here are some other interview questions that she may prioritize. And then you can also say, I need questions to ask her. What are some interesting questions that I can ask based on her experience? So you can kind of flip this in both ways, right? So this just becomes a really specific way to get these answers. Again, this gives you a first thing to start with. Start with this, but then make sure you go in and edit these questions so that it's something that you feel really comfortable with, you feel excited about, and it actually shows your personality. The thing that you want to be careful of is, because this is a robot, it's going to sound like a robot at times. Okay, so we've got that. Then I'm going to give my resume. This is the real kicker. I give my resume, and now it's going to answer all of the questions that it gave in a STAR format, situation, task, action, result, based on my resume. And now I have all my stories. So all you really need is these few documents that you just use over and over and over again. And you find these ways to hack this system, and it's going to do all the hard work for you. You're going to be able to sit back and look at this and say, oh man, like, look at how great this answer is and how, concise it is, because most people are going to have a very long answers, right, when they first start this. So what you can do is, you've got all these, and these are like themes, right? Project management certification, or handling unexpected scope change. I might go in here and I might go find one of the questions that I was like, okay, I really want to study for this one. Now I'm going to give that back to ChatGPT and say, hey, based on my resume, based on this question, based on who is interviewing me, please create a STAR answer question for this one. So you're just continuing to iterate. And I want you to really think, what is the outcome that you want? don't just use ChatGPT just to like use it. You know, there's got to be an end goal in mind in your head of what you're trying to get from this thing. And the more that you can tell it exactly what you want, the more it's going to give you exactly what you want. But it's all within this context. It's all within the prompting. It's all within how smart you can be and how nimble you can be with these specific things. So hopefully that's helpful. The last piece here is recording and transcribing your answers to get feedback. Now, this one's a little bit crazy, but what you can do is on the ChatGPT app, on the actual app on the phone, ChatGPT can now, it's been rolled out to a lot of different people. I don't know if it's everyone, and I think it might only be for ChatGPT 4, like the premium one, but you can use voice with ChatGPT. So it will actually talk back to you. So what you can do is you can use your voice to read off and practice some of these questions, and you just tell it, hey, I'm going for this particular job. This is the person I'm speaking to. Here's my resume. I'd like to try some questions, and I'd like your feedback. Now, all of a sudden, you have an on-demand person who can listen to what it is that you say and give you feedback real time. Right? And even if you don't use that voice feature, what you can do on the app is there is a way that you can convert your keyboard so that you can voice in to transcribe what you're saying. So you can either talk to it as a voice, or you can transcribe your voice into text. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with ChatGPT now, and it's only going to continue to get more advanced. So this is really like your opportunity. Like, there are so many different use cases. It's optimizing your LinkedIn, it's writing cover letters, it's strategizing your career transitions, it's creating your action plans, it's planning your networking message, it's researching companies, much, much, much more. There's so many different things. I want you to be able to take advantage of them all. I want you to feel confident in using these things. So, excuse me. So if you want the different documents that we talked about, I'm going to leave these on the screen while we go through questions. The top left one is the context document. Then there is the prompts document. There are some video tutorials that I have on YouTube. And if anybody wants to work with me or learn more about my book or any of those things, it's there on the right. So I'll leave these up so you can QR code these. And if you have an issue with this, are we, Lee, are we able to, or who was, Gwen, were you with me on that? Are we able to,
here. I was
yeah,
kicked off for a while.
are we able to give the, can I give them the presentation, or are you going to do that?
So yeah, she go ahead.
Yeah, if you can send it to me, Jordan, that will be
Okay.
much appreciated.
Great.
It's because we already got like so many questions. Everyone needs everything you have, Jordan.
Great. Yeah. I want to make sure I go through the proper channels. So I will
Yeah,
send
thank you so much.
the email.
Appreciate it.
But all the other stuff that I talked about is right here. So if you want to get it now with the QR codes, I try to make that as easy as possible. Also, if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, that is a great way to connect with me. I'll put my, if you want to tell me if this was a good presentation, you loved it, or you want to tell me you hated it, you can message me there. And then we can take some questions. Do you want me to take that, Gwen?
Yeah, I see Suto haven't really sent a question during your session because they are so focused. So yeah, so feel free to read a question. Let me see. From Phyllis, but it's up to you. Or if you don't want to ask question, you can raise your hand, and I think Jordan can unmute yourself to ask question. Is that okay, Jordan?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just tracking. There was one here. Should all resume bullet points be written in star format? So you know what's interesting about this question is, no, not necessarily. Here, like, try this on for size 2, Claire. If star doesn't feel great for you, this is what I want you to do when you don't like. With that question, what I'd rather you do is like what everybody's questions here, I might actually direct them to ChatGPT, is like, here's how you would ask that question to ChatGPT. So what I would say is, I'm creating some stories for a job interview, and I'm curious, what are the best practices and frameworks for telling stories in a job interview. So now I'm asking it, what are the ways in which I can do that? And then it says in job interviews, I use a simple framework to tell stories effectively. And then this gives me, this actually gave me star. I was like, okay, I know star. What are the other frameworks? Apart from star, there's a framework called CAR, challenge, action, result, right? So I could just keep going like that and just say, hey, like, I don't know which one I want to use. Can you give me another one to use? And then you can just, you know, kind of do that. Make sense? Let's see, we've got in case that we want to use ChatGPT to write a cover letter and others also use it, how could we personalize our cover letters and stand out from others? Yeah, in the ChatGPT document here, I have a cover letter section. Where is it? Yeah, right here. So there's 3 common templates that you can use for a cover letter, and then there's a bunch here. And then I might, again, like for everybody's questions, I'll be like, see, what did you ask? Watch this. I want to use ChatGPT to write a cover letter that's personalized and stands out from others. What are the best practices and frameworks I can use to best a chance to get the job? So again, I'm just doing this on the fly, but here's how I want you to start thinking is if you have a question like this, how can I ask it in ChatGPT to get what it is that I want? And that's really the game-changing mindset shift that most people still haven't done. So if you're doing this, you're in like the top 1% of people using ChatGPT. Like all of you on this call can easily be in the top 1% of people using ChatGPT or of AI expertise in the world just from using these frameworks and just from using this stuff, because we're so early right now. Most of the world doesn't even know that this stuff exists. And so now it's going to say when crafting a personalized attention-grabbing cover letter, I recommend this format, boom, boom, boom. And then I can give it, I'm going to say, I'm going to give you my resume so that you can help me. And I'm also going to give you the job description of the job. And then I want you to format based on that. How does that sound? Yes. And then you do it. Does that make sense, Fontip? What is your opinion of using AI or ChatGPT going to affect the creativity next year? Yeah, Zayn, I have different opinions about what AI is going to do. I have some opinions that are quite pessimistic about what's going to happen with all this stuff because it's very much an exponential, like no one is going to stop this yet. So I think there's definitely going to be, I think there's going to be a pendulum. I think what's going to happen is everything's going to go AI for a while. And then it's going to hit this point where everyone's just tired of AI and they want humans. So I just have a feeling that that's going to bounce back. And then people are going to be like, how can we be more human in the way that we do things and how we be creative and all that. But I think it's also going to expand creativity, and it's just going to make creativity different. And it might also make it so that, you know, people that have a natural creativity are able to use these tools in conjunction with the things that they want to do. And it actually makes them more creative in some ways. The prompt QR sends us to the website. Okay, looks like you figured that out. Do you have suggestions for federal job opportunities resume? They have specific templates. I typically, what I would ask is, I would say the same thing, like, what are the specific, like, what are some specific suggestions for resume? What are the best practices and things to be considered based on how it's different from a normal resume? So something like that. And then you just ask it, and now it's going to give you USA Jobs Resume Builder. Many federal job applications are submitted through there. So maybe it looks like it has a resume builder tool that's specifically tailored to federal applications. So that can be a good way to do it. And it's just going to give you a bunch of different stuff here. So, I mean, I've worked with people that have gotten federal jobs, and it really depends on the, like I had someone in Canada who there was some weird specific thing that they had to do on their resume that I had never seen before. So what I would consider is, again, networking is your most important friend too. If you can get someone that you know at that federal bureau who will talk to you and tell you, that's what I would be considerate of, is how do I do that?